What you're about to learn made Ford, Carnegie, and Rockefeller millions before they even started their businesses. In fact, when I interviewed the 500 wealthiest people in America, all of them used this exact principle, and almost none of their competitors did. Today, I'm going to show you how faith, not the religious kind, transformed ordinary people into the world's wealthiest individuals, and how one man used this principle to make over $25 million in a single year during the Great Depression when everyone else was going bankrupt. But I'm not just going to tell you about faith. I'm going to prove to you that it works, show you the exact mental formula these millionaires used, and give you step-by-step instructions on how to apply it in your life starting today. This principle of faith is the second step toward riches in my formula, and I promise it's about to change everything for you. Let me show you why. Let me tell you about Charles M. Schwab, a man whose unwavering faith created one of the largest business deals in American history. In 1901, Schwab was a young executive working for Andrew Carnegie's steel company. Carnegie was considering retirement but wasn't sure how to transition his massive business. During a dinner party at the University Club in New York, Schwab was asked to give an impromptu speech about the steel industry. What happened next changed American business forever. J.P. Morgan, the world's most powerful banker, was in attendance. Schwab didn't just give an ordinary speech about steel production. Instead, driven by an unwavering faith in his vision, he painted a picture of the future, a consolidated American steel industry that would dominate global markets. Schwab later told me personally, "Hill, I saw that consolidated steel company as clearly as if it already existed. I had absolute faith that it could be created and that Morgan would finance it. I spoke that night as if the merger had already happened." Morgan was so impressed by Schwab's absolute conviction that he pulled him aside after the dinner. "I want you to come to my home tomorrow," Morgan said. "I believe we can do business together." Over the following weeks, as negotiations proceeded, the deal nearly collapsed a dozen times. Bankers got cold feet. Carnegie kept raising his price. Papers reported the merger was dead. But Schwab maintained his unwavering faith throughout. Schwab told me, "Every time the deal seemed to falter, I visualized the completed United States Steel Corporation so vividly that doubt couldn't enter my mind. I acted as if the deal was guaranteed to succeed. That faith radiated from me in every meeting until all parties caught the same vision. That absolute faith paid off. The deal concluded with Carnegie selling his steel company for $480 million, making him the richest man in the world. And Schwab? Morgan appointed him president of the new United States Steel Corporation at age 39, making him one of the youngest executives to ever run a company of that size. Pay close attention to what Schwab did. He visualized his goal with such clarity that his faith became contagious. When I asked him about the source of his success, he didn't mention his knowledge of the steel industry. Instead, he said, "My ability to instill absolute faith in others that my vision would succeed." Schwab's story perfectly illustrates what faith truly is. Now, let me clear up what faith is not. This isn't about religion or blind belief. The faith I'm talking about is what I call applied faith, the practical application of belief in yourself and your abilities. In my research with the world's most successful people, I discovered that faith is the head chemist of the mind. When faith is blended with thought, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration, translates it into its spiritual equivalent, and transmits it to infinite intelligence. Let me explain this in simple terms. Faith is your ability to see success before it happens and know with absolute certainty that you will achieve it, just as Schwab saw the United States Steel Corporation before it existed. It's not hoping, wishing, or trying, it's knowing. When I first began interviewing successful people, I was skeptical about this, but after seeing it work hundreds of times, from Schwab's creation of U.S. Steel to Ford's development of the Model T against all odds, I couldn't deny its power. What I discovered through my interviews with men like Schwab is that every single millionaire I studied used the same mental formula which I'm about to share with you now. Step 1. They transformed their desires into clear, specific goals with deadlines. Step 2. They created detailed plans to achieve these goals. Step 3. They developed an unshakable faith that they would achieve these goals. Step 4. They repeated their goals to themselves daily with the certainty that they were already achieved. Step 5. They took immediate, persistent action on their plans. Remember how Schwab visualized that steel merger so clearly that he spoke about it as if it already existed? That's exactly what Step 3 looks like in action. His faith was so absolute that everyone around him began to believe in the vision too. Henry Ford applied this same formula when everyone told him his idea of a mass-produced automobile was foolish. His faith was so powerful that he persisted for years until he succeeded, even when all evidence suggested he would fail. Thomas Edison used this formula to persist through over 10,000 failures before inventing the electric light bulb. His faith never wavered. Andrew Carnegie started with nothing and used this formula to become the richest man in the world. He told me personally that his unwavering faith in his ability to organize and maintain the Carnegie Steel Corporation was the primary reason for his success, the very same company that Schwab helped sell to create U.S. Steel. Now let's talk about exactly how faith creates real-world results. This is the science behind the principle. When you maintain an unwavering faith in achieving your goal, three things happen in your brain and body. First, your reticular activating system, the part of your brain that filters information, begins to notice opportunities related to your goal that were always there but you never saw before. This is what happened with Schwab at that fateful dinner. He noticed J.P. Morgan's interest because his mind was programmed to see opportunities related to his steel industry vision. Second, your body language, voice tone, and energy change in subtle ways that make others more likely to help you and say yes to your requests. Schwab told me that during the steel merger negotiations, his absolute certainty was visible in his posture, his voice, and his eyes, and that certainty influenced everyone in the room. Third, you begin taking actions that align with your future success rather than your current reality. Schwab didn't approach Morgan timidly as a steel executive hoping for a deal. He spoke with the authority of someone who already ran the largest steel company in the world. This is why Schwab's story is so powerful. He didn't just hope the merger would happen. He acted with complete faith that it would succeed. He once told me, "Hill, during those negotiations, I never once entertained the thought of failure, even when the newspapers declared the deal was dead. My faith was so strong that failure wasn't even a possibility in my mind." That unwavering belief is what impressed Morgan so much that he put Schwab in charge of the entire operation. Now, I'm going to give you the exact self-confidence formula from my research, the very formula that Charles Schwab and countless other millionaires use daily. This formula appears in my book, Think and Grow Rich, and it must be committed to memory and repeated aloud until it becomes a part of your subconscious mind. First, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action toward its attainment, and I here now promise to render such action. Second, I realize the dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to become, thereby creating in my mind a clear mental picture. Third, I know through the principle of autosuggestion, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of attaining the object back of it. Therefore, I will devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of self-confidence. Fourth, I have clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim in life, and I will never stop trying until I shall have developed sufficient self-confidence for its attainment. Fifth, I fully realize that no wealth or position can long endure unless built upon truth and justice. Therefore, I will engage in no transaction which does not benefit all whom it affects. I will succeed by attracting to myself the forces I wish to use and the cooperation of other people. I will induce others to serve me because of my willingness to serve others. I will eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism by developing love for all humanity, because I know that a negative attitude toward others can never bring me success. I will cause others to believe in me because I will believe in them and in myself. I sign my name to this formula, commit it to memory, and repeat it aloud once a day with full faith that it will gradually influence my thoughts and actions so that I will become a self-reliant and successful person. Schwab once revealed to me that before that pivotal dinner speech that impressed J.P. Morgan, he spent an hour reviewing these very principles. He visualized himself not as he was, merely an executive in Carnegie's company, but as the leader of the greatest steel corporation in the world. That self-confidence radiated from him and made his vision contagious. Now let's get practical. I'm going to give you the exact daily plan that will develop the same kind of unshakable faith that made Charles Schwab one of the wealthiest men in America. But listen carefully. This isn't something you implement gradually. You must commit to doing all of these actions every day for the next 30 days without fail. First, each morning immediately upon waking and each evening before sleep, write out the entire self-confidence formula and read it aloud with complete faith that it is already working. Feel the emotion of certainty as you speak each word. Schwab performed this ritual before every major business decision. Second, spend 10 minutes each day identifying negative thoughts and doubts as they arise. Immediately write them down, cross them out physically on paper, and replace each with a statement of faith. Carry this journal with you at all times, just as Schwab carried his faith affirmations journal to overcome doubt in any moment. Third, conduct yourself in every way, your dress, speech, posture, and actions, as if you have already achieved your goal. This isn't pretending, it's aligning yourself with your future reality. Remember how Schwab spoke about his vision for U.S. Steel as if it already existed, down to the smallest details? This is precisely what you must do in every interaction. Fourth, associate only with people who lift you up and reinforce your faith. Completely avoid negative influences during these 30 days. Schwab deliberately surrounded himself with visionaries like Carnegie and Morgan, refusing to engage with skeptics who doubted the steel merger would succeed. I must emphasize, this is not a gradual process. You must implement all of these practices starting tomorrow morning and continue for 30 consecutive days without missing a single element. Faith is not built incrementally. It requires total commitment. Schwab didn't gradually develop his faith. He made a decision and committed completely. You must do the same. Here's what happened when ordinary people applied this formula. A young salesman I mentored used this exact method during the depths of the Great Depression. When other salesmen couldn't make a single sale, he set a goal to double his income. After 30 days of following this plan, he had increased his sales by 120% while working in the exact same territory as others who were failing. A factory worker who attended my lectures applied this formula with the goal of becoming a factory manager. Within 60 days, he was promoted twice and achieved his goal, despite having no formal education beyond the 8th grade. Remember, faith is a state of mind that can be induced or created by affirmation or repeated instructions to the subconscious mind. You can literally choose to have faith, just as Schwab chose to believe with absolute certainty that his steel vision would become reality. Now, you understand why faith is the second step toward riches. Without it, even the most burning desire remains unfulfilled. With it, your mind becomes a powerful transmitter of thought that connects with infinite intelligence to bring your desires into reality. Remember the story of Charles Schwab and how his faith in his idea led to the creation of U.S. Steel. Your idea, your definite purpose, has the same potential when backed by absolute faith. In our next video, we'll explore the third principle in our series, autosuggestion, the medium for influencing the subconscious mind. Until next time, remember, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve.